I was literally trying to run by the trail of blood on the floor, which was like terrifying. Probably the hardest part appeared in the August. You probably know what happened in the August in Belarus elections. People knew that we have a little bit of a dictatorship, and after everyone voted, the same day everyone just went on the street. Just let's say a usual peaceful protest. I wouldn't say just it was a protest. It was more like to show ourselves that we are here and we voted and we want normal elections. As far as we know, the protest didn't went good because the government decided to use violence at the very start of it. We had protests probably at this point for 3 days, 4 days. It was August 9, August 10, August 11, and August 12. Why it ended on August 12th? It's because the government tried really well to stop the people. August 9 and August 10 was probably the most active of the days. A lot of people was going on the streets. Like on August 9, people were coming in the center of the city. August 10, people were usually coming together at around the center because the center was closed at these points. And then, as for me, to August 11, there wasn't a lot of people because police became kind of brutal in this case. How? The police at this point was literally everywhere in the town, and at any point you could have been stopped, and even worse, at any point, like literally for no reason, you could be stopped and arrested. It wouldn't be just the usual arrest in this case. Well, it will be a usual arrest, but then it will get funnier. So at August 11, I wasn't on the protest. At the very late time, around 10 p.m., I was going from my tutor, because still I had some school stuff, to home on my bicycle. And I was just basically driving on the road on my bicycle until I heard that someone from like left behind me, someone screamed like, "Hey you!" Obviously I was like literally alone on the road, so I stopped the bicycle, I turned around and I saw 2 buffed men running with the batons towards me, and yeah, they just threw me off the bicycle. They beat me with the batons, and then they pulled me towards the paddy wagon, towards the truck. So on the truck, they decided to search me, obviously to pull all the stuff from my pockets, also put me in a position of a starfish, but also trying to spread my legs as much as they could. At this point, they were literally like mocking and kidding me, while also beating me at various parts of my body, like legs, ribs, and ends, before they would pull out everything out of my pockets and throw inside. I was sitting there in a very tiny little room for like 30 minutes before we would arrive to Isolator. An Isolator, it was a very particular Isolator in our city, very famous for its brutality, for some kind of torture which was happening there before, but it wasn't really popular before that. Because, Belarus before 2020 was literally a very extremely calm country, and it was an extremely safe country too. Like, the crime rate was very low, and no one would be afraid of each other or go at night somewhere, or I don't know, do anything. So this is later was a very, very rare occasion when someone would get there. And usually the people who would get there, it was usually for a reason. Usually. During this protest, this is later was like a small camp where they would bring hundreds of people and literally beaten and torture them. Well, in my case, I arrived there and the men just pulled me out of the truck to go to the wall. But there was a funny thing. When you're coming out of the truck, there would be two lines along the door with the policemen with the batons. And so the point is that you were supposed to run through them because you really wanted to run through them. Because while you're going through this tunnel, they would give you some punches with the batons too. Near the wall, they put on the knees and the elbow, and they would just basically interrogating me regarding, my age and my name. That's basically all they needed at this point. After this, they would take you inside the building, and at the same time outside of the building, you a parking lot connected to the building. And at this point, you were supposed to run and watch at the ground, because if you would raise your head and watch at them, you'd probably just get another slap of the baton to, lower your head because they didn't want you to see their faces. And it was a funny thing that I knew where to run because I was literally trying to run by the trail of blood on the floor, which was terrifying. But I didn't really want to get a punch, but also I was supposed to go somewhere, so I just ran by the blood, and I wasn't wrong. There at the parking lot, they again put you on the knees and elbows, and they were putting the people in the rows, so all of them were visible. And when this parking lot was filled, they were taken line by line into the building to put down all of our clothes, pull out any strings like on your Crocs or on your pants or on your hoodie, and throw them in the bag, because you could use them as the weapon to strangle someone. Then we would take our clothes and run outside and sit down on the knees and elbows again and play a little funny game. As for them, who would put their clothes up the last, he would get beaten. So luckily I wasn't the last one, but I could feel bad for the people who was beaten because they just put their clothes at the last. That's absurd. And during the night, it was really calm, kinda. We were not doing a lot. We basically was just standing on the knees and elbows on the asphalt for straight 8 hours. We were not allowed to stretch, to move, to ask anything, because if you decide to do these kind of things, you could get beaten. During the night, you could still hear new trucks would come inside, and you could hear literally people screaming there from the pain, because some of them were beaten really, really hard, and you didn't really want to be one of them. So just sitting there calmly, just waiting for something. In the morning, finally, we were allowed to stand up and spread along this kind of a cell. It was like a closed cube, 7 or 9 by 9 meters. And the morning started pretty fun, because if you stayed on the asphalt on your knees for 8 hours straight, it would be really painful for your knees, but also you would have a problem